Hi, and welcome to Craft Along with Jay. I am so happy you could join me today. Today's video is part of the 5 Under 5 Easter Decor Challenge, hosted by Farm Charm Chic and White Sparrow Living. And when you're done this video, you should check out that playlist. It'll be down in my description box and see what everyone else came up with. Should be very interesting, getting some good inspiration. Project number 1. You'll need one of these Easter eggs from the Dollar Tree, some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, and it's only 69 cents, some wooden letters, I think I got that from Temu or Walmart, some twine, a little bit of ribbon, and some Elmo's glue. And the first thing you do is trace out the egg onto the paper and then cut it out. If you like what you see today, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. I would really appreciate it. Now making sure it fits. And then I'll use the Elmer's glue to cover the whole back side of the paper and then glue it onto the top of my egg. You want to make sure you press it down pretty good so the glue would adhere to the wood. Just press it down and smooth it out, and then it won't go anywhere. Elmer's glue is pretty good for this kind of thing. And while that's drying, I'll take my antique wax and cover up all my letters, as you can see right there. And then once the Elmer's glue is dry, I'll take my little sander and sand around the edges to get the excess paper off. Give it a smooth edge to it. And then I'll take my letters and spell out Happy Easter, Happy on top and an East on the bottom, kind of space it out, figure out the placing. It's going to be a little snug, but it'll fit. And then once I've figured out the placement of all the letters, I'll start hot gluing them down. I just want to make sure they're in the right place before I do it, and that's why I'm kind of playing around with it for a while. There we go. Now we hot gluing them down. Just trace the letter on the back and then press it down onto your egg, and they won't go anywhere either. And once we've done all of that, I'll take some of the twine and I'll go around the top of my egg 2 times. And I'll glue it down on the back part every time I come around, just to make sure it stays in place. It's kind of a funny shaped thing, not funny shape, but it's shaped kind of oddly enough that the twine will kind of pull up towards the top and become loose if you don't do it. So I just kind of glue every time I go on the back side, I'll glue it down. Just like you see there. And that'll keep it in place. And then when I've gone around twice, I'll take some of my ribbon and I'll just make a shoelace bow and I'll glue that to the top on top of the 2 strings of twine. And then I'll trim down the tails and ducktail them. Kind of tuck down one of the tails a little bit because I want it to keep turning to the wrong side of the ribbon. So if I just kind of gave it a little dot, it'll stay right side up, if that makes sense. And here I'm just ducktailing them, fold them in half, and then cut at a diagonal or an angle. Yep, just like that. And then what you don't see here, but you'll see at the finished view, is I go around the bottom of my egg too twice with the white twine, just to give it a little extra on the bottom. But there it is. Pretty simple. On to project number two. You'll need one of these little wooden boxes from the Dollar Tree, a bunny from Hobby Lobby. It was $1.99, and then you got 40% off. A small piece of scrapbook paper, a couple of carrots, a little bit of orange gingham ribbon, and just very little of the boxwood greenery and some elephant and silver lining paint. And the first thing I do is cut the paper down to size so it'll fit inside the box. And then I use the Elmer's glue again. Just cover the whole back side and then press it into the bottom of the inside of your box. Just like that. Just kind of pressing it down. Smooth it out, and there you go. Then I'll take my bunny and I'll paint it with the silver lining. And then I'll take my elephant and I'll paint the box all the way around the edges on the inside and outside and on the back side. Just like that. I did these two colors to kind of match the paper on the inside of the box. Then I'll take my chippy brush and I'll use the silver lining and I'll give it a moderate amount of distressing on each side and the back on the inside. And then I'll take my paper towel and kind of rub it in to kind of smooth it out, or blending it in, I should say. Just like that, yeah. Gives it a kind of a nice distressing look. Keep going all the way around. And then once I'm done with that, I'll use the elephant and I'll do some distressing around my bunny, just around the edges, and then I'll use the paper towel to kind of blend it in really well. As you see right there. Then once all that is drying, I cut off the tips of my carrots. I didn't like that flimsy stuff, so I cut that off and I added some glue inside the carrots. And I just cut three small pieces of that boxwood greenery, and I'll push that into the hole on top of the carrot, give it some nicer green top. Looks so much better, doesn't it? And then I'll glue my carrots together, so it looks like a bundle of carrots. And then I'll take some jute twine and I'll tie it around my bundle of carrots. Once I tied, I realized one of the strings weren't enough to make a bow, so I'll just knot it up and then I'll make a shoelace bow afterwards and then glue it to the top of the knot. Yeah, that's what I'm making right there. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. I would love to have you. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. I'm still playing around with that bow, making sure it's just right. Give it a dab of glue onto my carrots and then add the bow. Then I'm adding some hot glue to the whole back side of my bunny, and I'll place that inside the box. Just like that. And then I'll glue my bundle of carrots to the side of the box. Give it a 3D effect. Give it some dimension. And then I'll make a little bow tie bow for my bunny with the orange gingham ribbon, like that. And that's all there is for this one. Simple yet really, really cute. I love this one. And there you go. For project number 3, you're going to need some reindeer moss. We won't be using all of that, maybe like a third of it. A little box from Walmart. It was only $1.10, I believe. Some Easter egg string lights from the Dollar Tree. Some paint of your choice. And some little wooden Easter eggs. I'm using 9. There's 12 in a pack for $1.25, and I'm only using 9. And I'll paint the eggs in the colors laid out in front of each bottle. And the box I'm painting vintage white. And the eggs are painted accordingly to the lights of the string of lights. So when I glue them down onto the eggs, it kind of matches the colors, if that makes sense. You'll see in a minute. Here I'm just cutting up some reindeer moss. And then I'm taking the first green light and glue it onto the green egg. And then I realized I hadn't even glued the wooden eggs down yet, so before I glue any more lights on, I'll glue all the little eggs down first. Keep them in place. Yep, there we go. And then after that, we'll glue all the remaining lights down. And the colors of paint I use, I think it's celery, prominent rose, Dutch aqua, and pale daffodil. And here you can see the lights of the string lights are matching the wooden eggs. Yeah, making sure the lights are working. Then once I glue them all down, I'm kind of pressing down the little the wires around the eggs. Just press them down so they're flat down at the bottom of the little frame. Yep, they're still working. Then I'll take some hot glue and glue down in between the eggs and add the reindeer moss. Now I'm not using the glue to glue down the wires. I'm just in between the wires, I'll add the glue, and the reindeer moss I will add on top of the wires. So it's the reindeer moss that's holding the wire down, not the glue, if that makes sense. And I'll do that through the whole bottom of the frame. It actually looks like they're laying down in some grass outside, doesn't it? And it covers up the wires for the lights pretty well. I couldn't be more pleased. And here I'm just adding in where I feel like it's needing some more. Some wires needs to get covered. And then I just use a little wooden bunny on the side to cover up the wire that goes around the back of the frame. See, I have the wire taped to the back. And then the battery box would just lay on the back side. But there it is with the lights. Isn't that pretty? Love it. All right, on to project number 4. I'll need one of these little letter boards from the Dollar Tree. And 5 bunnies. I think it comes with a pack of 8 or 9, something like that. Some Scrabble letters and some paint of choice. And that purple I end up switching out with a pink instead. So it'll be celery, prominent rose, and pale daffodil that I'm painting each crevice with. As you can see right there in between. And then the wood pieces that goes in between them that I have not painted yet, I will paint that with the vintage white. Yep, just like that. And then the bunnies I painted too. I took the tails off and I painted them in the Dutch aqua, celery, prominent rose, the purple, I can't remember the name of it, and the pale daffodil. And once that's dry, I glued the little bushy tails back on. And then I am figuring out the spacing of my letters, hoppity hop. The first line is hoppity, and I'm just making sure it's like in the middle. And once I got that established, I'll glue them down with some hot glue. And then I do the same thing from the bottom. Still got to measure, make sure it's in the middle. And then I'll glue that word down. It says hop. And when I'm done with that, I'll take my little bunnies and I'll glue them to the bottom uh, wood plank and the plank on top. And I do one on each side first, and then I'll add the three remaining in the middle. Just like that. So far, so pretty. Then I got some scrap pieces of ribbon. Don't throw away anything. You can always use scrap pieces of something. You'll see. And here the first part of it. I just take some pieces of ribbon and I'll make a messy bow. So I just crisscross them till I crisscross all the pieces that I chose. And then I'll take some jute twine and tie around the middle of it. As you'll see right there. And then once I've done that, I'll kind of fan them out, spread them out, so you can kind of see a little bit of every piece that I used. And then glue it to the top of my little frame. And then I'll make a shoelace bow with some jute twine and I'll glue that right in the middle. And there it goes. I think this one turned out super cute too. What do you think? Let me know down in the description box. Gotta trim the tails a little bit. And then that's it for this one. There we go. Super cute. All right, on to project number 5, the last one of the day. Got this little silver tray from the Dollar Tree, some eggs from the Dollar Tree, some ribbon, some Mod Podge, some paint of your choice. I'm still going with the same colors, kind of got a theme going. And then some crackle medium. And the first thing I do is cover the tray with Mod Podge, because if I paint just straight on there, the paint will chip off because of the texture of the tray. Ask me how I know. So I'll cover it with some Mod Podge so the paint has something to adhere to. And then I got the 4 colors, as you see right there on my mat. And I'll just randomly make streaks on my tray with all the colors and until it's all filled up. And the colors you see are kind of matching the eggs as well. Kind of got a little theme going on. But here I'm just randomly making some streaks. Just kind of keep going till the whole thing is filled up. And there it is, all filled up, and now it just has to dry completely. Then once that's dry, you'll use some of the crackle medium, and I'm gonna give it a pretty decent coat, very generous coat about crackle medium all the way around my tray. And then you're gonna have to let that dry completely before you add the next step. And because of the amount that I used, it took about 3 hours for it to dry completely, but it was well worth it. You'll see. And now that it's all dry, I am using some white chalk paint. It's best to use chalk paint as the paint that needs to crackle to the tub coat, because that crackles better than any of the other ones. So the acrylic paint on the bottom is fine. The top coat just has to be chalk paint. And you want to give it a nice coat of it. However, don't go over it itself too many times, like once or twice. If you can keep it at one stroke, that's good. If you have to go back a second time, it's fine, but don't do any more than that because you don't want to cover up the crackling. And here I've kind of sped it up as it's drying. You can kind of see the crackle happening, and you can see the colors underneath kind of peek through. It's pretty neat. Then I'll use my heat gun a little bit to kind of speed it up some more. You can kind of see. I just love it. Love watching this happening. And here it is. Look at it. You can see the colors peek through, all the crackle. Love it. I I just love this. Yeah, I had to admire it. Then I take some of my ribbon and kind of fold it in half and add a little dot of glue. And then I'll glue that to my egg, at the wide part of the egg on top. There's a little hole. I'll just add it there to cover it up. As you see right there. And then I'll fold it at the top end too and give it a dot of glue. And then measure for the inside of my tray. It's a little bit too long, so I end up trimming it up a little bit. Then I'll give it another dot of glue to keep it folded at the top. And then a dot of glue onto the tray. And then I do the other eggs in the same manner, just a different length. So if I have one that's a little bit long, I do another one a little shorter and a little longer, so they're not next to each other. So it's kind of a different length, I guess. And here's that last one. And I glue that to the top of the tray. And then I'm done hanging. Hang my little eggs. There they are. Look how pretty. And then for the top, where I had glued the ribbon, I added some scraps of flowers that I had in my stash. So I'm saying don't throw anything away. You can always use it at some point in time, even the little small things. And there it is. Look how pretty. Oh, I love this one. I love that crackling. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. And on to the finished view. Here they all are. I think they turned out so pretty. Which one is your favorite? Let me know. I'm curious. And here is the one with the lights in it. I think that turned out so cute too. Love it. And this one is hanging. Just added some jute twine to the back. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.